Well, finally today at 2 o'clock, Budget 3.0, you'll see the Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana delivering his budget again on Newzroom Afrika, Channel 405. So many different issues, of course, but we do know that there will not be a VAT increase. The chair of the Financial and Fiscal Commission is Dr Nombeko Mbava. Dr Mbava, good morning. I do appreciate the time. As so many things have been happening around the budget, I wonder if, in fact, the credibility of this entire process and maybe our government is on the line now. How important is it that we have a clear budget statement this afternoon?
I think it's very important, Stephen, because we cannot go to budget 4.0, given that the credibility of our fiscal path is at a risk. So we also need to be careful to maintain our fiscal prudence. Remember, we've made commitments that we're going to rein in the runaway debt situation that we have. So there is no other alternative right now but for the minister to reprioritize the existing budget. So what does that mean? It means that we need to maintain the same fiscal envelope that we had last year. We need to reprioritize the key projects that we want to do. Doing that as well, it means that as we are reducing the debt service cost, we should not as well erode basic services. We should not erode socioeconomic rights. What are those rights? The right to health, the right to health care, the right to housing. That is in the Constitution. So the budget cannot erode those rights. So ours as the Fiscal Commission is to ensure that those constitutionally mandated basic services, those socioeconomic rights are protected, and that as we try to cut costs, we do not erode those rights.
There's supposed to be a budgeting process, and as far as I remember, that process is supposed to involve you, the Fiscal and Financial Commission. In fact, back in March, you said you had not been consulted on the previous budget. Can I ask, have you been consulted on this budget?
Yes, we have been consulted by the Minister of Finance. And what is quite clear, though, as we are moving forward, is that we need to revisit the legislative aspects of that consultation. Remember, Stephen, that the Constitution, which is the preeminent guide of our mandate as a FFC, says that we need to look at the national interest, the national debt of the country, and the fiscal sustainability and the fiscal choices that we make as a country, as the Fiscal Commission, to interrogate those and give independent advice. So currently, the only documentation that we receive is the Division of Revenue Bill, which essentially looks at the sub-national level, which looks at the local government, the provincial government, and the globular figure of what is being allocated at a national level. But beyond that, we do not have sight of what is the fiscal strategy, what is how are we going to fund the budget? So we do not have sight of the fiscal framework before it is tabled, and that is an issue that we want to ensure that through legislation we correct it, because we're not able to advise the minister correctly.
So, I mean, Dr. Mbava, there's so much that's going to happen now, and obviously the way in which we draw up a budget needs to change. And you can't do a budget in consulting everybody. I mean, someone has to make difficult choices. Those choices involve trade-offs, and you'll just end up with different groups in society fighting each other. How much consultation should there be? Should there be, and it sounds like, I don't want to misunderstand you, it sounds like maybe you feel you should have a bigger role. Do we need to change the way we draw up a budget?
The Financial and Fiscal Commission definitely should have a bigger role in the budget process, because remember, we provide independent advice. And also, Stephen, we look at the fiscal impact of the policy choices that we're making. So the FFC needs to have a space to be able to do that proper analysis. As it is now, we are only seeing the other side, which is just limited to only looking at the subnational level, but we don't actually see the entire fiscal picture. So who needs to be consulted? The FFC must be consulted. Who else needs to be consulted? The cabinet as well must be consulted. The political parties need to be consulted. Everybody who has a space to play, even civil society, must also be consulted. So the budget is a consultative process so that we can all own the budget. If it's just done without anyone having an input in it, who has to have an input, then it won't be legitimate. It will not seen to have consensus, and it will not be owned, or it will be rejected. So what we are hoping for going forward now, today, we are hoping that the budget will be tabled right enough, but it will go through the parliamentary process, which is a very, it can be a process where now you unpack the nuts and bolts of it. And those committees in Parliament are very crucial to actually ensuring this budget is adopted by Parliament. Remember, today the minister tables the budget, and then afterwards the Committee on Finance interrogate the fiscal framework. So that is going to be the battleground, that committee, to see if all the parties agree, and we are hoping that there will be consensus.
So, Dr. Mbava, I completely agree that to have legitimacy, the budget needs proper consultation. But you know what Mzansi is like. I don't know if we'll all agree on something. I think we will shout and scream because everybody wants more for themselves. I mean, that's, and we have very real needs in this country that need to be addressed. Is there a limit to consultation? And when we involve other political parties, and of course the government has to involve the other political parties that are in the government, how do we prevent a kind of budget that is really all about patronage?
Exactly. That is where you would obviously, there's always vested interest in the budget process to ensure that particular interest groups achieve their own, outcomes. That is why you want to have an independent fiscal institution like the FFC, who will come in without any partisanship, who will come in and provide an independent analysis of what is being proposed. That was the intention of our forefathers when they make sure that there is a financial and fiscal commission, independent, not aligned to any political parties, someone who's going to simply come in and look at the fiscal proposals to make sure that these are in the best interest of the country and the best interest of our people. So that is the role of the FFC. So when the FFC then is seemingly marginalized or sidelined, then it means that it is the man on the street who is not really getting the full benefit. But we are hopeful going forward that the FFC will be given the space to play its constitutional role to ensure that the budget speaks to the needs of our people and is aligned to our constitutional values, to ensure that the right to health, to basic education, to housing is not eroded by budgets which are decreasing because of debt service costs.
There are many different things that need to happen with the budget. We need to sort of find out what's going to happen around financing, where extra money will come from. There is another question, though, and I'm sure you saw the Deputy Finance Minister David Masondo speaking in Cape Town 10 days ago, who seemed to suggest that an announcement about a possible change to the inflation target of between 3% and 6% for the Reserve Bank might change. Do you have a view on whether it's a good idea to lower the inflation target? You are an independent body. The Reserve Bank is an independent body, so you may not wish to comment, but I'll be very interested in your view if you would share it.
So I think we focus mostly on fiscal policy, and the Reserve Bank focus on monetary policy. So we will be guided by them on the monetary aspects. At this point, as the FFC, we are more interested in the fiscal policy and how we government meets its obligations.